Hey there, it's Victoria McCooey. I'm going live today with something really, really important that I just recently learned about. So I'm anxious to get on here with you because we need to share this. We need to make this information available to as many people as we can. And it's not a happy topic. It's a pretty depressing topic, but it's a really, I don't know if you can see. I'm in New York. It is a wet, dreary, rainy, nasty, cold day. So perfect weather for this really dreary and depressing topic I'm going to be talking about today. So, have you heard of something called OTRS, a new syndrome that's being talked about? Well, if you haven't, then I think you're going to hear a lot about it. You've heard of PTSD, right? Everybody's heard of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, post-traumatic PTSD stress, right? So this is when you have a traumatic experience, and then the aftermath of it is what's called PTSD, right? Okay, so what do you call it when it's not one traumatic event, it's an ongoing, stressful, traumatizing event, such as being in a marriage to a toxic personality. All right, that is an ongoing stressor that there's no relief from. You're under the same roof, you can't escape. You are in this marriage, in this household together, 24/7, right? With this constant stress of being with a toxic personality. So they've named it now. It's called ongoing traumatic relationship syndrome, OTRS. And thank God now there's a name for it, because people just think you're crazy, right? Because you're sick, you're upset, you've got migraines, you contract all these illnesses, infections, you're weakened, you're irritable, you lose weight, you gain weight, like whatever it is, however it manifests in you, and you try to explain that it's because of what's going on at home, but nobody else sees it, because if it's a narcissist, they're not showing that to anyone else. This is all covert. This is all just for you. So the origin of this syndrome was for people married to or in a family with an Asperger's victim. I don't know, victim's the right word, but somebody with Asperger's, because you're dealing with somebody who doesn't have a normal emotional give and take that most humans are used to and need in order to have normal human relationships. So you're day in and day out, whether it's someone you're married to, a spouse, a child, whatever, constantly in this relationship with somebody who's not able to give you the same emotional feedback as a normal person. So this is how this syndrome first got recognized and named. It's also called the Cassandra phenomenon, in case you're reading or Googling and you find that. So it's called that because there was a mythological character called Cassandra who could predict the future, but she couldn't get anyone to believe her. Nobody would believe it. So she couldn't get anyone to take precautions or actions because they didn't believe her. So it's sort of like that. It's like no one believes you. So if you read about the Cassandra syndrome, it is something that's normally talked about in relationship to Asperger's, but I'm here to tell you a lot of it, there's a lot of overlap, right? If someone's on the autism spectrum, we say it's a lot like someone who's on the narcissism spectrum. I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be. I don't play one on TV, but I've been researching this on my own and through trainings for a very long time. I know pretty much about this. There's a lot of overlap in the character traits. So it has a lot to do with my community, the people I try to help, the people I coach, the people I speak to, the people I help, who are basically women married to narcissistic men. So what you're feeling, what you're dealing with that nobody understands is OTRS, right? It's ongoing traumatic relationship syndrome. This is what you're feeling. It's making you sick. So I say it's sort of like if you're living in a household where there's carbon monoxide poisoning. I mean, it is insidious. You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't feel it, you can't touch it, but it is seeping into your being at a level that is going to make you sick. And it's going to make your children sick too. They're not immune to this. They're not immune to your narcissistic, toxic husband / their father. This is making them ill too. So yeah, it's our mission now. It's my mission to make this, bring awareness to this so that the legal community can recognize this, because I know my women, my community, my clients are going to courts who don't understand, judges or lawyers who don't understand how they have been compromised to such an extent that they look like the weakened party, or they are the weakened party. They look like the weaker party. They look like the incapable party, but it's because they've been compromised. And instead of punishing these women, or thinking they're not the better choice for custody of their children, or that believing the lies that are being told about them, we need to make more awareness around the fact that they have undergone a long, ongoing stressor of this syndrome. So, we it's easy to treat, or people in the medical community are used to treating people with post-traumatic stress disorder because it's after the fact. They've experienced this traumatic experience that leads them to have medical repercussions, right? We know more about it now because so many victims of PTSD are related to the 9/11 attacks. And so it's closer to home now that we understand this. But what if you're still in it? What if it's not something that happened once? What if it's happening to you in this low level, insidious way, just chipping away at you day in and day out? And yes, your body is going to break down. And that's why so many women in my community have all kinds of illnesses. Today, somebody told me they had a urinary tract infection. I have another client with fibromyalgia, weight loss, hair loss, migraines. I mean, this is rampant. It's not a one-off. It's like, put the pieces together. It's just so obvious that this is what happens when you are dealing with this narcissistic relationship. So I want to read a few things to you. These are things based on people on the Asperger's syndrome spectrum and how it relates to that. But look at the overlap here. There's so many that are just exactly the same as people who are on the narcissism spectrum. So they do not exhibit reciprocity. I mean, right? Like, I do something nice for you, you assume that means, or I'm nice to you, you be nice to me. It doesn't work that way, right? It's a one-way street. It's just, you be nice to me and I'll do whatever the F I want to you, right? There's no reciprocity. They do not show empathy or compassion. Well, that is just like the cornerstone of narcissism, right? They cannot show empathy, not even for their children. They cannot put themselves in anyone else's shoes. Their worldview is just from their own perspective. They cannot, there's no therapy, there's no drug that can help them do this. They cannot, they're just not wired for it. Cannot put themselves in the place of others, right? Same thing. They cannot imagine what it would feel like to be someone else or to be on the receiving end of what they're doing. They cannot even imagine. They have difficulty with mutual communication. All right, more so for Asperger's, right? That's one of their hallmarks, but yeah, narcissism too. Is there mutual communication? When you have a disagreement, what happens with your narcissist? What happens? Does it spin out of control? Does, I'm going to say he, because, and you know, everybody always calls me out on this, but 75% of narcissists are men, all right? And we're not just talking about full-fledged narcissists. It's very hard to diagnose. It's a spectrum. So I'm talking about people who are way over on the dark side of the spectrum, right, with narcissism. They will start pulling in things into this argument, discussion. You can't have just a discussion because it will necessarily turn into an argument. They will pull in things that have nothing to do with the topic. Something that you said 5 years ago that will get thrown in against you when it is totally off topic, right? We call it word salad because they're just throwing anything into the mix. It doesn't matter. It's just to like keep it spinning, out of control, whirling dervish. You can't even, how do you have this argument? What's your comeback? How do you can't have a rational conversation or argument or disagreement because there's no line. It's not following a sequence. It's going off in all kinds of different tangents. It's like whack-a-mole, you know, you try to squash that thing and that thing and that thing, and that's the motivation, to keep you completely off balance, right? So there's no resolution, and becomes my way or no way. Remember Muhammad Ali with the term rope-a-dope, where he would just let his opponent beat him up. You know, he'd just be hanging on the ropes until they wore themselves out, and then he'd come in and finish them up. Well, it's like rope-a-dope, right? It's word rope-a-dope. They're going to go off and off and off until you just like have to walk away. You're exhausted mentally, from psychologically, like trying to connect the dots, and there's no way to connect them. It's impossible. So you give up and you walk away, and then in their minds, they win. All right, do not recognize the NT partner's reality. Okay, they can't recognize their partner's reality and attitude. Same thing as not being able to put themselves in someone else's shoes, right? They don't understand your reality. They can't accept your reality. It's only their reality, you know, only the way I see things. Cannot read others' intentions and emotions. Okay, not so much. I think they can read them, but that's what they're wanting. They're wanting you to lose your temper. They're wanting you to be off balance. So they read that loud and clear, but that's their motivation, is to get you there. Find it difficult to learn from experience. Not so much, but they learn what triggers you have, and certainly those will be repeated if they work. Cannot assess complex situations, not so much. Cannot nurture a relationship. No, they can't nurture a relationship. They can only nurture themselves. They can only do what feels good to them, or makes them happy, or fulfills them in some way, or helps them reach a certain goal. That's the only thing that they nurture in the relationship, is what it does for them. Cannot see their responsibility for their own actions. Cannot take responsibility, right? Here's one of my favorites from my own narcissistic ex-husband. When I was married to a narcissist, he was pulling out of our driveway. I was inside. He was pulling out of our driveway and hit a parked car across the street. They came in and he told me it was my fault. I wasn't even in the car, but he said that whatever I had said made him really angry. And so he got in the car angry, and that's why he hit the car, because he was preoccupied with how angry he was at me. So it was really my fault. This is normal in their minds. Everything is someone else's fault. They will find a way. I remember the movie, Girl on the Train, where, you know, the narcissistic, sociopathic husband has made her think that she's drunk and crazy and, you know, fabricated this whole set of lies. And now he's married to a new wife and had killed his mistress, and told her, well, really, she had killed her because of the way, well, I forget, but how she made him feel or made him want to react. So it was her fault that he had killed this woman, right? This is the same thing. They cannot take responsibility for their own actions, cannot negotiate, seek compromises, or resolve conflicts. Word salad, right? There's no give and take. That's why in divorcing them, it's so hard to reach a settlement because it's not in their vocabulary. They can't settle. That means they're giving up something and they don't feel that they should give up anything. They're entitled. They think they should have everything. You should get nothing. They should be the winner. They're entitled to everything. So yeah, there's no compromise. They can't resolve a conflict. Extremely busy solely for their own needs. Just always busy with something that is meaningless, worthless, doesn't achieve a goal. Just busyness instead of business, right? I hear this from so many of my clients and from my own experience. Busy, 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 doing absolutely nothing. Has inadequate capacity for adult impulse control. Sure, they fly off the handle like toddlers. And that's one of my tricks that I teach my clients who are divorcing narcissistic partners, spouses, is they are toddlers. They think at that level. They're highly intelligent, but emotionally they are at, it's the 3 or 4-year-old level because they will stomp their feet and literally throw a temper tantrum when they don't get their way. So it's not easy. I would never say it's easy, but it usually works if you incorporate some child psychology into your settlement, right? Into getting what you want in your settlement, is making them think that they're winning. That's a surefire way to get them to start thinking differently about what they want. They have to think they're winning. All right, so this is my introduction to you, if you haven't already heard of it, of OTRS. It is a real thing. It is ongoing traumatic relationship syndrome. And if you are married to a narcissistic spouse, I'm guessing you probably have it. And it is going to make you sick. Being in this environment is going to make your children sick. And yeah, there's no changing them. You need to get all this information so that you know it's not you. It's not your fault. It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with their personality disorder. You can't change them. You can't fix this. The sooner you realize you can't fix it, the sooner you can start fresh. You can end this, and it's going to be war. It's going to be war. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Divorcing a narcissist is not like a regular divorce. It is hard. It is long and it's hard. But Winston Churchill said, if you're going through war, keep going, right? Don't stop in the middle. So that's what I help my clients do. I help them keep going, because it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. So get to the other side of it as fast as you can. Do what you have to do so that you can use this experience, use your divorce as a springboard into creating a new life that's going to serve you. And realize that this didn't happen to you, it happened for you, because you are going to be a bigger, better, more improved version of yourself. You're going to have new knowledge, new skill sets, new information, new ways of dealing with people, with circumstances, with everything. You'll be improved. Believe it or not, you will be damaged, but when you heal, you're going to be even better than ever. And you'll be in a position to create the life that will truly serve you and be beyond your wildest dreams. And that's what I want for you. I do. I want that for everyone. You think it's so hopeless right now? I know. I was there. I know. It's really scary. I'm not going to lie. And it's hard. And I understand why you're fearful. But it's a necessary evil to get through, to get to the other side. All right? Okay, I'll leave you with that. And if you want to talk to me about your situation and see if you might be a candidate for working with me and find out more about what coaching with me looks like, I put a link in this post so that you can book a free call right on my calendar. And then we can take it from there. All right, that's the first step though. All right, so I hope I will talk to you soon on a free call. Thanks for watching.